Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Sean Woodland with Pat Sherwood and Dan Bailey. Tommy Marquez is here as well. We're taking a look at the men's side of the Masters competition with the online qualifier now just a day away. And I have a ton of respect for these guys as it is, but now that I'm amongst their ranks, that respect just gets more so and more so every year.
I understand. I mean, you've been old forever. I am going to turn 40 this August, and now it's putting it into sharp perspective what these guys can do, because I'm nowhere near what they can do. So, yeah, it's impressive and humbling.
I hope that I'm still just going that hard at that age.
Yeah.
That's impressive to still be, banging out the workouts and all that stuff. It's incredible.
So there are some spots that are going to be open on the podium at Carson in the Masters division. Only a couple of the defending champions are back this year. The two who are returning to defend their crowns, Sean Ramirez in the 40 to 44-year-old division and Steve Hamming in the 55 to 59-year-old division. Will Powell is competing, but he is moving up to the 55 to 59-year-old division. Let's start with that 40 to 44-year-old division where Sean Ramirez is looking for a repeat, and he's looked pretty dominant so far.
Yeah, this is him knocking on this door. This makes me nervous. Sean Ramirez is an absolute animal. He won last year by 86 points. And now, judging by how he's doing in the Open in his division, he's in first place by 118 points. Incredibly dominant. But who could possibly give him a run for his money? I'm going to say Brian Watkins is another name there. Fourth in the Open, third place at the Games last year, and he took 7th in 2013. And then I'm going to throw in Chad Augustine as well. In the Open in this division, Chad took 37th place. Last year at the Games, 6th, and he also has experience in the past competing on CrossFit Rockland's team.
We were actually able to catch up with Sean Ramirez. We talked to him and asked him about the field in the 40 to 44-year-old division. He said it's definitely loaded with talent, but right now he is just worried about what he's doing.
Of course, I know where my competition's at, and I know who's out there. I know the guys that are stepped up, but at the same time, I really don't focus on that. All I'm really geared on right now is improving as a competitor myself, because we all have areas that we can improve on no matter who we are or where we are. I teamed up and got a good coach and support group and people that are really just identifying those weaknesses. But now it's gotten to that point where I don't ever look at it like that, like I'm going to go in and kill it. But you got to be on your game at all times, without any doubt of what you're capable of doing, and that's all I've been focused on for this year.
Let's move on to the 45 to 49-year-old division. That's where Jerry Hill is not coming back. That could open the door for a couple of beast mode competitors to maybe take his spot, but there's also a little intrigue in this division.
There's some drama in this division. We'll get to that in just a moment. First, I want to talk about Jeff Tincher. This guy has stats going all the way back to 2009, where he took 33rd in the individual competition.
Wow.
I actually had the opportunity to compete with him in 2010 in the Central East Regional, and he impressed me then. He still impresses me now. Second place in 2014 in his age group. Ron Ortiz is another name worth mentioning. Despite being 49 years old,
he's a beast.
He's still an absolute beast and appears to continue to just get better year after year after year. 5th place in 2014, first place in 2013. Jerry Hill, we mentioned, is not returning. And then the drama piece. Bill Grunlow, a familiar name, takes first in the Open in his age group. But again, we don't know if he's going to compete as a master. I got to give him props for going to individual competitions all these years, but we would love to see him compete in the Masters competition. When I asked him about competing, he said he hasn't really thought about it.
That is not true.
I'm not buying it, Bill. I'm not buying it for 1 second. But what he is doing is helping his brother try to get pushed into the Games in that Masters competition. So they're doing the workouts together. He will be doing the workouts. Will he compete? We'll see.
I'd love to see it. I think he deserves it.
Heartwarming story.
Yeah.
Bill, we want to see you compete.
Make it happen.
In the 50 to 54-year-old division, Will Powell, he's not back. He's changing divisions. Who do we need to keep an eye on in that group?
And we were talking about this yesterday with Powell gone, who's going to snap that up. And I think it might be Steve Parsons, to be honest with you. 3rd place in the Open. Go back last year, he was 10th at the Games. 2nd place in 2013, and then 4th in 2012. So he's been competing for a very long time. Then also Brig Edwards. Great name, hell of an athlete. 12th in the Open in his division, 2nd place last year at the Games, 3rd in 2013, 2nd in 2012. So another guy that's been around the block a lot of competition under his belt. But then Brian Shockley, the new name in this division, and he's currently sitting in 1st place in the Open. And I've said it before, this year's Open I think is a great test. I think it's going to be a great indication of future performance. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on Brian Shockley.
Yeah, and he is a newcomer to this division, but he has been around in competition for quite a while and have been competing at a high level for quite some time as well. And for a closer look at him, let's send it over to Tommy Marquez.
Thanks, Sean. Brian Shockley is in unfamiliar territory at the top of the Masters 50 to 54 leaderboard, but like you said, he's no stranger to competition. Shockley is actually a 3-time Games competitor, qualifying in 2011, 2012, and 2014, and he's got a best finish at the Games, a 5th place back in 2011. And most importantly for Shockley, he was a part of that inaugural class of men's 45 to 49 division competitors. And for guys like him, he's really setting a precedent not just to be able to compete for multiple years, but to be able to compete and succeed across multiple age divisions at the CrossFit Games and in the Masters competition. He sits in first place right now at the Open, so pay attention to him throughout the Masters Qualifier. Aging up to a division could really help him finally break onto the podium in the Masters competition at the Games.
Thanks, Tommy. The 55 to 59-year-old division has the returning champ, Steve Hamming, is coming back. But behind him is a guy from Canada who's extremely fit, who's looking to knock him off the top of the podium.
That name for that guy is Gord McKinnon. He was first in the Open this year in the age group, first in the Masters in the Open and Regionals from 2011 to 2015. Unfortunately, injuries took him out of the last 2 CrossFit Games for his division, so we haven't gotten to see him compete at that level. We're hoping he's healthy. We're hoping he can give it a go so we can see that happen. Will Powell took second in the Open this year, first in his division in 2014 for 50 to 54. He's a newcomer to this division, as we mentioned before. Dave Hippensteel is another name worth mentioning. He's a more is better kind of guy. It's been working for him. He's at the upper echelon of that age group. He's 59, but he took 7th in the Open this year. So some great names.
Yeah, a lot of impressive contenders there. And one of the most impressive Masters athletes has been Scott Olson in the 60-plus division. He has won that title at the CrossFit Games 3 straight years. He's been at the Games ever since 2010, and he has been dominant in the Open. He's not coming back this year, so that's a big void that needs to be filled in that division. Who do you think steps up there?
That's a huge deal, right? I mean, Olson not coming back with as dominant he has been is like if, Froning just didn't show up for the Games. Same deal. If you're not fired up about that, that is ageism and that is wrong. You should be an Olson fan. But with Olson gone, there are some people I think that can step up there, and Steve Polini is one of them. First place in the Open right now in his division by 12 points. He's out of CrossFit Oakland, and at 60 years old, this guy has a 440-pound deadlift and can sprint 400 meters in a minute 22.
Swift.
And being from Oakland, I'm sure he knows how to use a switchblade, so you don't want to mess around with this guy. Right behind him in the Open, we've got Terry Peters, second in the Open, 6th place last year at the Games, and he also competed in 2012 where he took 4th place. So it's a shame that Olson's not going to be there, but we got a lot of talent.
Yeah, that's the men's side of things. The online qualifier workouts are announced tomorrow. Pat and I will be back to break those down for you. For Tommy Marquez, Pat Sherwood, and Dan Bailey, I'm Sean Woodland. We'll see you guys next time.